Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today we're talking about the series that I need to finish. Not all of them, because there are a lot. I'm notoriously very bad at finishing series, but we're going to talk about 6 today. 3 where I can just continue. I remember the events of the books that I've already read, and then also 3 where I should reread the first book, or however many books I read, because I don't remember enough to just continue. For the most part, all of these series that I'm going to talk about are finished and there are no more books coming out. So let's start first with the books where I can just dive into the next one. The first is probably not at all a surprise because I keep talking about how I have to finish this series, but that is the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. In February, I became obsessed with the 5th season and immediately read The Obelisk Gate and loved both, gave them both 5 stars. I got, let's see, how many pages? 135 pages into the Stone Sky before I put it down. I'm so excited to read this. I know I'm going to love it, but I love this series so much that I almost just like don't want to finish it. So I have been putting it off. I like think about it every month and then I just don't do it because I'm an idiot. This series is set in a world where the apocalypse happens like every so often. There are these things called 5th seasons, and when that happens, just like all hell breaks loose and things really start to take a turn, and often there are very few survivors and society sort of has to rebuild, and the history of this world is defined by the different seasons. At the beginning of book 1, the 5th season, we enter a season and we're following 3 different characters and perspectives as they sort of navigate how the world is grappling with it. And there are these people in this world called Origins where they have like the power to manipulate Earth. They're sort of like earthbender type folks. And all 3 of the perspectives that we get from this book are following an origin. And so we're kind of learning about that because there's not a lot of good feelings about origins in this world. They're pretty stigmatized. People really don't like them and have a lot of negative feelings about what they can do. There's just so much complexity to this series. It's definitely one that I want to reread in the future, obviously after I finally finish it. And this is like if I had to pick one book that I needed to read before the end of the year, it would be The Stone Sky. If I don't read this before the end of 2020, I'm deleting my booktube channel because who am I? I don't super remember what happened in the first 130 pages that I read, so I'll restart from the beginning. And I just have a feeling that it's gonna just, I don't know, blow me away, both in good and bad ways. I feel like I'm gonna be sad. I feel like there's gonna be things that hurt me. The next is a series that I started also this year, and I didn't necessarily anticipate that I would like want to continue as much as I do, but that is the Graceling Series. And part of that like desire to continue is that they just announced that there is a new book coming out. So this book I listened to on audio a few months ago, and it is about a world where there are certain people who possess like certain gifts. They are graced. So it manifests in different ways for everybody, but basically your grace is like something you're really good at. Like you can be graced in the arts or in music. Our main character is graced in killing. So she becomes the king's assassin essentially, but she wants more than that. She doesn't want to just do his bidding. She doesn't feel good about it, and so she's trying to kind of get out from under his control. I do have to go back and read like a synopsis of this one, but I remember just being like really like blown away by how invested I got in this story, and I really enjoyed the main character, and I know that's not everybody's like feeling towards her. So I personally really liked Katza and found her to be a compelling voice, so I definitely want to continue this one. I kind of just picked it up on a whim because I needed something to listen to, and yeah, surprised myself with how much I liked it. So I believe the next book is Fire, and then the 3rd is Bitter Blue, and if I'm correct, they take place in the same world and follow some of the same characters but have different like main characters. So I don't really know what to expect going into book 2, but I don't know if I'll do audio. The first one has a full cast, which I really enjoyed, but I don't think the next one does. If there is a full cast audio, then I'll listen to it, but otherwise I might just read it physically. And then the last one that I just could like dive right back into is the Wayfarers Trilogy. Actually, I think this is the Wayfarers Series. I believe there are going to be more books in this to come, but this is by Becky Chambers. The first book is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which was one of my favorite books in 2019. I have been wanting to read Closed and Come in Orbit for ages. I like picked it up, actually I got it for my birthday last fall and was so excited to dive right in, and I just didn't. It's another case of like, I know I'm gonna love it, but I just like don't want to be done with it. But I actually have plans to read this month. No, it was not on my TBR. It's going on there anyway, so stay tuned. But this one follows one of the characters from The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I don't know that it really follows the rest of the cast or if they are kind of split up at this point, but I think I'm gonna really love this one. I mean, I loved the first one, but I feel like I could love this one even more. I feel like it's a little bit more of a romance, and I feel like a little bit more, even more, I should say, character driven, because Becky Chambers is definitely a character driven storyteller. And even though there are obvious like sci-fi plot elements to these stories, I personally love them for the characters. So I feel like this one is really about Lovelace, the character we're following, and I'm excited to see how like her life unfolds, because it's different than her life in the first book. I'll just say that. I've heard only incredible things about this entire series. I read a Becky Chambers novella earlier this year in June or July and like fell head over heels for it, so it's definitely reignited my desire to pick this one up. All right, and now we have the 3 series that I want to continue, but it's just been so much time since I read the first book that I feel like I need to revisit that before I can continue. So the first series I have is like a real commitment to reread the first book, because that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. The first book is huge. It's, what, 500 something pages? Yeah, almost 600 pages. And this is a historical fantasy, like urban fantasy. It's sort of paranormal, which I don't normally love, but I think the like added element of like historical fiction really makes this work for me. This is set in the 1920s in New York City, I believe. Yep. Our main character, Evie, moves to New York City after kind of like a debacle or like an event happens in her hometown, and she's more or less kicked out. She possesses some like special powers, more or less, and she goes to live with her uncle, who runs like a museum about the like occult things. Like I said, I clearly need to reread it, but basically she like summons, or someone, not Evie, someone like summons a spirit, and he's just kind of like terrorizing the city. The second book is Lair of Dreams, which I do own. Why I bought 2 different versions, I don't know. It really bothers me. I wish I had just stayed with one, but whatever, we make our choices and we live with them every day. This one is really massive, and I think even longer than the first one. So yeah, it's over 600 pages. So this one has been really intimidating to me. It's just sitting on my shelves. So this currently does live on my TBR shelf, but I do really think I need to reread this. I might listen to the audiobook, because I've heard the audio for this series is incredible. So I'm thinking that I might do that at some point and then continue with this physically, because the idea of reading 1100 pages is a lot. It's a little intimidating, but I think I want to listen to the audiobook of The Diviners in October, make that a reread, because it is kind of spooky and it's, you know, spooky season. That's my plan. I've heard so many good things about this series, and it really does hit a lot of elements that I really like. I don't read very much historical fantasy at all. Let me know if there are other ones that I should check out that you think I would like. We'll see. I did give this one 4 stars when I initially read it, but I, again, just like have forgotten so much. The next series is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johannsen. I read this 5 years ago. I read this in 2015 and truly don't remember anything, but I gave it 5 stars and I loved it. So this follows our main character, Kelsey, who is the rightful queen who was exiled many years ago, but on her 19th birthday, when she comes of age, she sets out to journey back to her kingdom and to ascend to the throne and take her rightful place. So she is very serious from what I remember, and very driven, and doesn't quite know what to expect when she gets back to the kingdom, and it definitely is going to require a lot more than she anticipated. Like I said, I read this and loved it. I gave it 5 stars and immediately bought the sequel, and I lent both to a friend and she never returned either of them. So, but anyway, I would like to repurchase these and read them, and I believe it's a complete series. I think it's just the 3 books, The Queen of the Tearling, The Invasion of the Tearling, and The Fate of the Tearling. I've heard kind of mixed things about this one. Some people really love it, and some are like not so into the hype, but like I said, I just feel like my only memories are that I was like really invested in Kelsey as a character and like just wanted to back her and support her and everything. So I would love to reread this and see if I feel the same way. And finally, I have the Young Elite series by Marie Lu. This is the 2nd book, The Rose Society. I don't have a copy of the 1st book, but again, I read this probably 4 years ago, and it began my love of Marie Lu and like reading the first in all her series and then just like not finishing any of them. So basically what I'm saying here is like I want to read and finish all of Marie Lu's stories because I think she's awesome. So the 1st book follows our main character Adelina, who a decade ago she survived a deadly fever that really ravaged the world and killed many. Those that it didn't kill, that were infected but survived, are now left with markings. Their hair turns silver, and they're believed to possess some power, some like abilities. It's kind of mystical, no one really understands it, but they are called the Young Elites. We also have a perspective from Tearling, who is working for the king and leading the charge of like wiping out the Young Elites and getting rid of them. He believes that their powers are dangerous and wants to rid the world of them. And then we have Enzo, who is a member of a secret society of Young Elites and wants to like recruit more into them. And they end up finding Adelina at the beginning of the book and realize that she has like a really powerful gift. So it's following the 3 perspectives, and I remember there being so much tension between all of them and really enjoying that. So I like desperately want to reread it and then continue with this one. It's YA, it's pretty like easy, like sci-fi dystopian to read, and like if you know me, you know that's my jam. So yeah, I like would love to revisit Marie Lu at some point, hopefully this year. I do want to get a copy of The Young Elite so I can have it on my shelves, and that way it will really encourage me to reread it. I feel like this one, the stakes are only going to be raised even higher, and yeah, I love a good YA dystopian. So I feel like this just has to make it on its way to my red shelf very soon. So those are the 6 series that I am trying to prioritize this year and in 2021. Let me know your thoughts on some of these down below. Also, are you good at finishing series? Like, do you marathon them? Are you as bad as me as following through? Let me know how you tackle series, because clearly I need some help. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next video. But until then, happy reading. Bye.